Hey guys, this is Those Guys with your host, Matt Marrero, along with your other host.
A confused Satish Ram who just realized the pitch, changed when Matt does his intro versus his normal conversational voice.
So you're saying you just went like...
We were just talking in, regular tone for a bit. Just right. So SummerSlam and joking around like this, and then it turned into, hey! I was like, whoa! Fuck! Volume! Good morning! And I'm here.
It's been a while, Satish.
It has.
So yeah, today we're talking about...
They don't know this because of the fucking release schedule.
Right, yes. But we're trying to get ourselves caught up with everything. As of right now, you're listening to our Battleground podcast, I would assume, because here we are talking about Battleground. We're not at SummerSlam just yet, but, we are getting there, of course. So talking about Battleground, right, before we get into the little bits here and there, overall, how did you feel about it?
This is an interesting thing to talk about because, I've mentioned this before on air, but the idea that now that they have the network, I feel like they have more freedom in their minds to work on these transitional pay-per-views, like these quote-unquote B-level pay-per-views, and that gives them the freedom in their mind to take risks, and that's good and that's bad at the same time. In certain cases, it works really well. In certain places, it works out really weird for me. I don't know where Battleground exactly falls for me on that scale because I wouldn't say it was bad, but
it's one of those it's one of those things where it's hard for me to give it under a B. I really, really want to. And not even just the idea of a B level, just, as a grade as we sometimes, we usually do when it comes to pay-per-views. I want to give it under a B because of the fact that of booking decisions we usually talk about. But from a wrestling perspective, it did deliver. It's not as if it did not deliver. It did deliver wrestling-wise. All around, I think only minus the main event, it really delivered. The issue, of course, is, again, you look at a lot of the booking decisions, and sadly that does have to go into our grading here because it's sports entertainment. If we're just basing this on wrestling alone, I could give this a B, B+. Right, not a full A, because I do think there were some people here that may have been holding back, right, because of, like you said, the nature of the pay-per-view, knowing that SummerSlam's coming up. They may have been told, hey, don't give it your all. And I know it sounds crazy to say this. I'm not saying anyone was bad tonight. However, I do feel like, when it comes to certain pay-per-views or really just certain episodes of Raw or SmackDown, they're told, hey, these performers, these wrestlers, are told, hey, do what you can, right? Impress the crowd, but don't give them everything because this is a business and you do have to save yourself for the pay-per-view because, this isn't really about story writing necessarily. It can be considered story writing, but it's storytelling, but it's really about the idea that if everyone gives it 150% every single show, they are going to break down.
Yeah, and this is one of the things where when I critique something like NXT versus the Raw schedule and pay-per-views, the physical schedule for NXT, although it's getting tougher because they're doing live shows now, we all know that it's just not as rigorous if you're NXT only right now versus someone who's working the main roster. So you will see sometimes that transition not only because of, in terms of work rate, not only because of the fact that they are being told sometimes, hey, tone it down, as Matt just alluded to, but also the idea of, it's a very physical, tough work schedule. I don't know how to describe it.
Exactly. Anyone saying, oh, yeah, I can just do this.
No.
More power to you if you go in there and you can, right?
Or
you already are on the independent circuit.
Anyone listening can't do this. No, if you can, I'm glad for you. I believe it. But, it's hard. And I say that more so not to the people. It's funny. That's more for the people who probably aren't listening, and not in the sense of, people who are wrestling fans are not listening. No, people who aren't wrestling fans, because they sit here and they'll say wrestling fans are watching a fake sport. All this is fake, blah blah, and they don't really sit there to understand what's going on. Now, I'm not saying everyone needs to love and worship wrestling, but I think you should respect it. They have a ridiculously
exactly,
and they work very hard to put on their art. But
I don't even think the word respect, just the understanding, the general understanding that, when you're watching these, acknowledgement, I think it is.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Yeah. Just understanding that, sometimes, a punch to the face, other times it's like, oh, you can see, it's the backhand. Oh, you can see how this, But sometimes you get punched in the face, you get slapped on the chest, you get thrown off of a cell 16 feet in the air, and it's just, how did they fake that? It's like, well, it's not smoke and mirrors.
Yeah, I actually had to explain this to, I'll mention this without, spoiling anything, but an injury occurred on Raw, because, we are podcasting to someone, and it was mentioned by my students in school when I was working, right, Matt? And one of my coworkers was like, well, how did he get injured if it was faked?
Exactly.
And I had to do this whole rundown where I was like, because it's not. It's scripted, but it's not fake. Injuries occur to these people because actual stuff happens. It's not there are holograms out there in the ring that are being controlled by, RC remotes or something. It doesn't work that way.
Exactly. No. It's you look at something like, I usually compare it to wrestling to Game of Thrones, not in terms of quality, because I don't want anyone to sit here and be like, wait, what? No, the idea is that... What?
What?
No, what did you say?
Nothing. All right, go on.
Okay. Not in terms of quality, but I do believe that, it's scripted, and the idea of someone saying, oh, I love Game of Thrones, but professional wrestling, that's fake. It's just... There's dragons in Game of Thrones. Right? It's not a documentary. So, but you still enjoy Game of Thrones. And also the idea is, when it comes to wrestling, the difference between that and Game of Thrones is, guy gets his head cut off because of a sword, right? Oh, okay, that's quote-unquote fake. I mean, it's the show. If they gave them swords in WWE, there's a chance that the arm getting cut off on live television would be real. Maybe on SmackDown it'd be edited as it's pre-taped. But on Raw, if someone got their hand cut off, that's pretty real. I know it might sound a little funny and outlandish and cartoonish, but it's true, though. If you gave them swords, and on Monday Night Raw, and it was in the ring, any injuries wouldn't be, oh, you can see how he faked it right there. See, that's his no, he got his head chopped off.
Bingo.
There we go. Okay. But no, it's actually really funny because one of my cousins was over, and, I had to explain to her the idea that, hey, of course the fights are predetermined, right? But look at this move, look at that move. And she would say, oh, well, that looks really fake. And I'd understand, right? Because, oh, yeah, this kick over here isn't, in a real fight, it would be different places, different kind of levels of aggression, let's say, if you're on the ground.
Yeah, I get that.
No.
In a real
Of course.
No one's going to hit the fucking red arrow. But,
right? But it's funny because we were watching Beast in the East, and we were watching, I wanted to show my other cousin who's really, who loves, he doesn't sit there and watch it the way we do, but when it's put in front of him, he goes, wow, right? So I was showing him Owens versus DeVitt. Right?
Balor.
Thank you. I could not.
DeVitt so much in 14.
That's what it is. I was like, Prince.
I was going to the exact same thing, because not specifically that match, but I was going to say the foot stomp. But go on.
Oh, that's the thing. No, but the idea is showing someone the foot stomp is just like, well, Owens does have a gut, right? A gut that he works on, but still, he actually works out. But, a gut. Look at that kick, and then, look at that stomp. And she saw the stomp, and she was like, that hurts. I was like, yes, it's a
the cannonball. The body.
Right, that too. Right, there. So I understand someone going, the punches don't look like they connect like they would in a quote-unquote real fight. And again, of course. But there are certain things that it's just like, you cannot, I hate, I was actually watching a match, a friend of mine was showing me Heat Wave 98 ECW. And he was showing it to me because of how outdated it is. Only, and I use the word outdated, and he to be fan. What? In the sense of unprotected chair shots.
Bingo.
Right? Yeah.
To the head and blood.
Exactly. So, the idea is, it's like even that, right? How did they fake it? Is it like the glass that's made out of sugar? No, that's a chair. Yeah, but what about the chair is different? No, you can sit on it. Well, not now because it was busted over the guy's head, but you could have sat on that. But Matt, what's different about that chair and then the one that we use at event? None. Get on your knees, let me hit you in the head with a chair unprotected. Now, we don't do that anymore, at least not in WWE, not in a lot of the bigger televised promotions. We don't really do unprotected chair shots anymore. But still, the idea is that, it's like, well, how is that faked? I think we should all ask that question. And I think the answer is it was not, right? It's just chair shot to the head.
Yeah, and I mean, even in a lot of the matches we had at Battleground, there was, like Matt mentioned, a lot of good wrestling. So it's a lot of fun, I think, for that to happen for us, because we talk about there's a lot that goes into when we grade a pay-per-view, / special event / whatever WWE's calling it now. But the idea of, like, booking decisions is one, and I'll talk about that. And sometimes a booking decision, like, the John Cena-Owens match, will really hurt my perspective on a card. And I'll be open to admitting that.
Right.
And I'll explain it, and I'll sound biased.
Yes.
But I'll explain it. And then you have stuff like a really, really good match, also in the case of the John Cena-Owens thing, that can bump the card up in another way regardless of booking decision. So it's really confusing, a match like that.
Yes.
Like, how do I rate it?
Right, of course. It's.
I remember when I found out. But
you were so mad. It was funny, even though I was just as mad.
I was tipsy and, like, in the mood to just yell. And then I find out, and I'm like, screw this. I think my words at the time, verbatim, were, I'm only going to do the Battleground podcast when I come back if I get to complain about John Cena for 2 hours. I think that's what I said verbatim to
That's verbatim what you said, yeah.
Like, I got to this point, if I get tipsy, I don't forget shit. Like, I forget stuff at the regular rate that I forget everything. But I know what I'm saying. So I meant that at the time. Like, isn't it emotion.
Isn't it great how human beings do that? Like, your dad could buy you lunch. Well, technically he's bought you food your entire life because you live with him, right? The one time he forgets to pick you up from soccer practice, how could you, Papa? 20 years later, how could you, Papa? Like, you forgot about me in my time of need. How dare you? Like, I love that about the human mind, where it's just, it's just, I mean, of course you remember the fact that, like, Owens won, of course. Like, you're not actually going to forget that. But it's just the idea where it's just, it's just you have a really, really bad memory. John Cena wins against Kevin Owens. How could you? Like, how dare you?
It was like 3 weeks ago now or something. It was like 3 weeks ago, and I verbatim remember what I said to you at like 1 in the morning. Because I was out. The reason we didn't do this, normally, we're not doing it during the week because I have work now that keeps my life occupied. We've mentioned this on air and some of the other ones. But on the weekends, I'm free. The reason we didn't do this one is because my cousin was getting married and I was a groomsman, so I wasn't even in New York. And that's all I heard, and I was so mad. And then somebody texted me, a friend of mine was like, The Undertaker's back. And I'm like, oh, so they went with that angle.
Yeah.
And
so
I was like,
you were like,
that's the night, huh? That's the night.
Yeah. And I told you straight out, I was like, you have to watch the match, and then you'll understand and be mad. Right. And you'll still be mad, because, of course, like, I'll sit here and I'm like, oh, God. Because of all the stuff we hear around it.
It's totally worth watching that event. Like, I'm not going to say it was unwatchable. I don't know if I'd give it a B. I'm being honest. I don't know if I'd give it a B.
It's really hard for me. It's really, because I want to give it a C.
It totally made sense for me to watch, and not because of obligations to podcast.
Yeah. But diving right into this, so we start the night off with Ryback being injured, which is weird because they didn't even do anything with Miz and Big Show. And yes, both are heels, but they have done heel versus heel before, in recent memory, before Battleground. So you'd think they'd do a number one contendership or something. And sadly, they just did that little thing later, which was fun, but it's still, it felt like just don't do anything at all. Give someone else some time on the card
but we're not
if that's all you're going to do.
Not even mentioning the fact that Barrett won in a pointless moment. But
that was later. That was later. This first started off the night. No. Let me. Yeah, I'm so sorry because I know you didn't watch this yesterday, and I actually watched this on Sunday. Let me clarify. What happened was it was Tom Phillips saying, hello, everyone. So Ryback's not here. Right? And I was like, excuse me? Like, what do you mean,
Ryback? The man who was
supposed
to defend,
The man who was supposed to be in a title defense. It's as if, I really would have, I wish they would have, even though they would never have, just Tom going, thank goodness we had John defend it tonight. Like, imagine if John wasn't...
John around to defend the honor of the mid-card. None of that should be said on air.
But seriously, though, that's how I felt. I was like, thank goodness we have John doing this and not in some tag match or something else, because that would just be weird. You know, like, thank
'Cause,
goodness we
even
had
at a
John
pay-per-view,
title.
right, you got to have that going on.
You gotta have something, and and of course they tried to have a lot going on. But anyway, so that's how the night started off. We also had our truth. Have a fun promo, which was good, but it can't really add much to this feud because it's been drawn out by creative so much, right? And of course you have New Day.
Way too much.
Yes, and New Day being amazing and bringing a lot of energy to it, and you can really see that they just bring this energy to their characters. That's amazing. And it's really, despite what they say happened to them, how they were put into this gimmick, you can really see that they are bringing so much to it.
They're giving it their all.
They're giving it their all.
Lovable.
Yeah, I think that, even people that are younger, like kids and just generally people who are really into it and don't really look at it as, the way we look at it, where we're into it, but we look at it from behind the scenes aspect as well, right? But people who don't are just like looking at it, taking it at face value. I think just down the line, right, you'll be looking at great stables or great tag teams. And the New Day will be included. I don't know if they'll be number one or not. That's not for us to say right now.
I'm not saying it should be
but
one.
They should be one of them.
Should be one of them. Yeah, they've earned that much.
They have. They definitely have. Out of a top 5 or top 10, they've earned it. Of course, it's hard because as history goes on, you still might have to include people that came before them in those top 5, top 10. So that does make it harder. But I mean, if you really want to look at it as a 2000s kind of thing.
Oh yeah, I am talking past 2000 because we've had a few past 2000s anyway, but they're going to be fun if you let them do their thing.
Right. But no, I'm saying it's just really hard because of course you stretch it out long enough. It's just like, so you're saying that the Freebirds are? I'm not. Right?
No, because right now, and even in the 2000s alone, it's so tough because you have just off the top of my head, right? Evolution, the Shield, and the Wyatts.
Well, again, out of 10, that's only 3 slots. So, because I couldn't even think of those because because what I think of? I think of when I first started watching personally, in the mid 2000s, and I'm like, Big Show and Kane, the Spirit Squad.
It's funny because
DX again.
Evolution was the first one that came to mind because I sat there and
True.
that was probably my favorite stable ever.
Yes, I can understand
because they were an excellent. And then you have DX in general, but DX in general was mainly the late 90s. So that's another discussion, of course, if we ever want to do a stables podcast, which would be fun.
Right, but so R-Truth fought Barrett in a match that really wasn't bad at all. And it's funny how it wasn't bad. It was just a really hard match for me and even the crowd to get behind. And, bless R-Truth for trying to get the crowd out of its lull with chants and with crazy moves, really good moves. But, that's really all we can say. The match was for the crown. Apparently, right? It was for the crown.
Yeah, it was for the King of the Ring crown.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently.
And it's good that Barrett won since usually I'd be voting for R-Truth because honestly he also brings a lot to his character and to his role, and he enjoys what he does, and you can tell. However, I just don't know what they would have done if they gave it to Truth, and I think they just would have made him super goofy anyway, which is just kind of a thing where it's like if you're he's already like. It's just the idea that...
What have they been doing the past few weeks? They have been making him super goofy.
That's what I'm trying to say.
There's nothing
so it's
more
like,
to do. Right.
That's what I'm trying to say. He's goofy, but now he is a king. So let's book a bunch of funny king segments. And it's like, okay. All right, so goofy king... Although to be fair, that is more than what they're doing with Barrett, but still,
I feel for Barrett. I really feel
I
for
really
Barrett.
do. I really do, because, it feels as if whenever they want to he's the kind of person that I will admit, I don't think, I look at, let's say, like the New Day, right? And they put in so much effort that they get themselves over in a way that you look at, let's say, Mizdow, right? And he did too. I know, we don't see him on TV anymore, and that's tragic, but the idea is that he puts in all that work, and they do give him something. We don't see him now, but there was a point. They gave him something as a reward. I feel like Barrett does very, very well when he is given something, but cannot get himself out of a creative rut. Now, I know you might say, but Matt, that's the job of creative. Of course. But the idea is that I don't know if I think Barrett might be the kind of person that goes to the back and says, hey, here's a cool idea, and then they say no, and then he goes, okay. And then goes along with whatever they give him, rather than trying to because you look at the New Day, right, and they really try to break out of the shackles that they were put into of this little tiny, like, oh yeah, just be this. And they're like, well, okay, but we're also going to add this to it. And then all of a sudden you're thinking, wow, I really like the New Day. Right? So the idea is that with Barrett, because think about it like this, right? You give him bad news. I'm afraid I got some bad news. Bad news, Barrett. Did very, very well with it. Took it away from him. Not doing much. Right? He's the king now.
You could have made him King Bad News. I know it seems like overkill, but it's not like you're doing much with the King Barrett thing right now. I would have taken
That's
King
true.
Bad News.
I would have definitely enjoyed King Bad News because I don't consider it. It's a thing where I don't consider it two gimmicks because I can understand someone saying, "Oh, then let's also make him undead as well," like giving him all these different gimmicks. But the idea is that yeah, right. King Undead Bad News. I'm afraid I've got some bad news. You're still gonna be living. The world is terrible.
I figured it was one of those things like where he's a zombie. He's like Zombie King Bad News. And it's just like, I'm afraid I've got some bad news. But it has to wait until I eat your brains. And that, ironically, is the bad news.
All right, fine then. But we have to turn him into Chef Gordon Ramsay. I wouldn't even eat your brains. Your brains are terrible.
See, that got actual laughter out of me. The thought of that being a thing in an actual promo, I would have fucking lost it. And you would have too.
I think Barrett would go one too far and then he'd get fired. Take your fucking bad brains. Oh crap. Like immediately we have to fire him. We have to fire him.
Oh God.
But seriously, the idea.
I feel like
seriously
someone
though,
out there, Wade is listening. Like, please, like you're just bringing that clip to somebody, anyone that's not Vince, like Triple H. Please, let me do it once.
But seriously, maybe seriously, I don't know where I'm going yet. Yes, I don't know where I'm going yet. But maybe seriously, no. Just all jokes aside, the idea that. It's two gimmicks, but at the same time, the Regal thing died after about a good. Now he's not even Regal anymore. He's just Bad News Barrett with a crown. I was going to say a helmet, not sure why. A crown, and it's like, yeah, that's what you're doing. Good for all right. So yeah.
Right, and it's funny because there's a lot of talk about Vince hating the King of the Ring. And it's funny because, how is it that a guy wins King of the Ring and is actually booked worse than he was beforehand? And on top of that, he was booked like shit before King of the Ring?
And to be fair, it's a thing where, if you get, right, if you're going to tell me, oh, well, the good guy should win over the bad guy, it's like, well, don't make him a fool and then win, because now it looks weird where it's just, okay, so R-Truth got the advantage away, and now during the match, Barrett wins, and it's just the reign of Barrett continues, where the opposite would be better, where it's just you make Barrett look like the guy that's just beating the hell out of R-Truth a lot more than losing to R-Truth, right? And then R-Truth gets his comeuppance, and then he's king, and then of course you can have a rematch for it, as if it is a title. Not that it has to be a clause, just generally having Barrett goad him into a rematch. Or just taking the crown from him. I mean, the idea that it's like, oh, I won the crown from him in a match. Okay, beats him with a chair. Oh, looks like, oh no, it's a coup. Right? Just took it by force. That's what a king does. The idea that...
I feel so bad for Barrett, man.
I just feel like, because I feel like there's a lot of fun things you can do, and it was just trying to just be like, hey, you two go out there, you fight again. This is what we brought up, I think, a while ago. I mean, we've been doing these podcasts for about a year now, a bit longer than a year now. And the idea is when you have a match happen so many times, it's just gonna get, mizzed out, right? There was potential there, but when you have it happen on Raw so many times, you sit there and you think, are they trying to kill it, make it not interesting? I mean. This isn't like trying to have... Because at first I believe it was, let's do this on, with commentary, right? Someone's fighting someone else, the other person in the feud is on commentary with Bad News, or just King Barrett and with R-Truth. Fine, got it. But when you're putting them in the same matches over and over and over again, you kind of sit there and you can see why the crowd was not into it. And a kickoff show, well, it's not the first match on the card. It tries to get people, it tries to entice people. It's even more important, I would argue, because yes, the first match on the card is the one that's supposed to wow people that are watching. The kickoff show is supposed to entice people and get them to pay money for this. Now, yes, you might say, well, you already have the network. Some people don't. Every single kickoff is trying to get people to, come onto the network, to actually sit there and go, oh, I want to buy this network. Or, you know what? I can't get the network. I'm going to shell out $60 for this.
Maybe I'll make fun of me.
Right? Yeah. But whatever. But still, shell out money.
Before we move on to the main card, you said something that I kind of want to ask you about in a good way.
Oh, dear.
You were talking about, the idea of, they're putting Barrett and this on the card over and over. Are they trying to kill it? Do you think there are people backstage who are sitting there this is an appropriate booking for Wade Barrett? You get what I mean? Do you, okay, they can't conceivably be sitting there saying we want Wade Barrett to fail, right? So, why would we dedicate TV to that? So are there people sitting there actually saying, oh, this is the way that we should book Wade Barrett and this is good television? Because that's really
I actually think
to me, man.
I think that there are people that, even though Barrett is a king, he is lower on the card. He is not on the top of the card, despite being a king, right? The idea is that there are just some people that are going to be lower on the card. Some people are going to be higher, and the ones that are higher on the card, the ones that are pushing the needle, the ones that are getting more, more merchandise sales and things like that, are going to be the ones that they pay more attention to, right?
So.
And
let me stop
that's what I think it is.
You think it's more of a lower mid-card thing than it is a Wade Barrett thing?
Yeah, I don't think it's a Wade Barrett thing, although if it is, it's the idea of, and we've heard about this before, Vince McMahon wanting to test someone, and I actually like the idea of testing them. I actually do like it. But here's the difference, right? You, Satish Ram, getting tested by your professor, right, your college professor, or even your boss at your job, is a lot different because I would hope your college class nor your job are being broadcasted on television for millions to see. And I say only I hope because
I know
that's
for millions to see.
That's what I'm saying.
I was for millions to see, and I'm like, you got me there.
I'm just kidding. I watched a live stream. Yeah, I'm just kidding. I watched a live stream
of me teaching my sports class. Run laps, heathen! Run laps! Expel the demons from your bodies!
I mean, okay, I respect that. No, but seriously, I like the idea of a test. I really do. No,
yeah.
Because I understand it. I really do. But the issue is that, NXT should be the test, even though it is televised now. But still, NXT, the OVW, that should be the test. And then once they're on the main roster, it's kind of all right, I wouldn't say someone should immediately get a WWE title shot. No. I understand, what should we do? But you look at Owens, right? And it's just, did he lose? Because now they want to test him and see what happens because they don't want another Drew McIntyre situation. Where Vince McMahon, if anyone doesn't know, Vince McMahon literally came out and said he is the chosen one.
Vince McMahon been on the internet for a long time.
But that's the thing. It's true, and because of that, we heard a lot of rumors about Drew McIntyre becoming an ass backstage because he felt like he was the chosen one. I mean, to be honest, it would be really hard for you not to develop, I think even you and I, it would be really hard for us not to develop some kind of attitude, even without realizing it. If Vince McMahon comes out on television, doesn't matter if it's a story or not, Vince McMahon thought it is a good idea to come out on television, to point to someone and say, you are the chosen one. It's going to get to you, right? So I think that because of situations like that, he does want to make sure that people are built for the top or that people are built for certain situations, and he tests them. He might.
Vince McMahon.
But the problem, no, but I can't
I need to stop you right there,
but I can't. But again, I just said it before, and I'll say it again, on the show, on this specific show. I can understand that concept, but the problem is that because it is in front of millions of people watching at home for their entertainment, it doesn't feel like good entertainment. I said that earlier. I said, the problem is that people are watching, right? So your boss tests you, Satish. No one's watching. The kids are. The kids all see it.
No, but your point is valid.
No, but
it's okay if, I get critiqued and life goes on. I make an improvement. It's not gonna, my job. Even if
it's not critique, it's actual like little mini tests that he puts, obstacles, little things like that in your way, right? Because look, it's eccentric, sure, maybe, but at the same time, no one is supposed to sit there and think, man, Satish isn't being entertaining right now. Why is that? Why is Satish not involved in a rivalry or a feud that I enjoy? If someone's doing that, you should call the police. No one in your life right now.
Yeah, I should be in a rivalry at work. I mean, I am, but there's not a storyline around it. People aren't.
That's what I'm saying.
$10 a month to watch me sort out my issues with my coworkers.
Neither is anyone at your job. Not anyone at your job is handing you a script.
That sounds funny.
Wait.
Say this.
Right.
I can write my own script. No, it'd be a lot more fun if you said this. No, I swear to you, I can do this on my own. That must be so annoying, by the way. I know we're veering off Battleground a lot, but just imagine sitting there. No, I can cut my own promo. No, it would be more entertaining if you read this. This is sexist and racist. It would be a lot more better for the product.
Okay, two things. One, we're not veering off because we're still talking about Wade Barrett and Kevin Owens.
Right.
Two, scripts are still relevant to the product, and I also want to mention, I don't think it's a problem to say, here's a script. I don't think it's a problem to say, here's a script on Monday night when they go on at 8, and it's 6:45.
Right, if you're going to pull some shit like that, let them, I feel like there have got to be some weeks where they know they're not going to get the script out in time, right? Let's say you want to get the script to them by, I don't know, Saturday.
Monday morning. I would say Monday morning if you're, I know it sounds crazy, but
all right.
compared to some of the...
Morning. No, I'll give you Monday morning. Just for, just not trying to argue. I'll give you Monday morning. If you know you can't get it in by Monday morning, that they should be prepped to write their own promos. I think that's a hard thing to do, but it's an interesting test.
I was going to say bullet points, just general bullet points.
Mm-hmm.
If that's the worst case scenario. But from the way it sounds and from what we've seen, these are full on, yes, sometimes you can veer off depending on where you are in the card, but generally it's full on. That's what I mean. I mean where, really. But yeah. And you can veer off. And the idea is you have to say it with this script. And of course we've heard other rumors of where, this had to go through certain cycles, right? Of who can look at it. And it's like, and we got the script at 6 on the Monday. And it's
where they rewrote the script. I mean, we've heard they've rewritten the script up to the point of the show starting, where people like Paul Heyman were flown in to be used, and then at 8:30 were informed that they wouldn't be used that night.
Yes. Which I guess is better to say, hey, you're not on, but at the same time, it's wait, but then who did you write in? You would assume, right? Okay, good. You're not on. That means that you're free, so you don't have to make up a...
we gave Wade 25 minutes instead of 15. I look at it as, well, why is now, our truth is now in. Not assuming they're not in the same thing, apparently. But
anyway, so moving on to the actual show. The show started off with Sheamus, Randy Orton.
It's personal.
Okay. Not a bad match, but I still think it was not the best way to start off the pay-per-view. I think New Day versus Primetime Players would have been the best way to start off the pay-per-view. The idea is you want to start it off with a bang. And while it was a slow build, and at the end it was pretty cool, it was still way too slow to get people invested after that kickoff show. After that kickoff match. That's my take on it.
No, I actually agree with you completely because the kickoff match, again, wasn't bad, but it wasn't man, I need to buy Battleground now. So a lot of people who were already buying Battleground were probably watching the kickoff. They've seen it. Because let's say 50% watched the pre-show. Is that estimating low, do you think, or no?
I mean, I think that's pretty high. But, I mean, to be fair, Okay. You know what it is too, I think, by the way? The fact that it's located on the actual site, I think is even worse for it. I mean, it is on YouTube, I believe.
Network.
True. Okay, then you know what? Yeah. No, I only bring it up because of the fact that, I thought you were referring to people who are trying to...
And the live audience.
Okay.
Will watch.
All right.
Which is like okay numbers for a pre-show. But it's just frustrating because like that match didn't set the world on fire, and this match, I won't say it didn't set the world on fire. It didn't, but like it was better than like receiving that. It doesn't work in the sense of leading off a show, and I know I'm like nitpicking here with Matt. I get that. But
I don't consider it. No, I mean this is the intricacies of actually trying to make this pay-per-view work. Where you and I would probably wanted, or I would have thought, you know what? It's actually it's probably better to have Owens versus Cena first to get the crowd riled up. But then the problem is Owens losing could cause some to leave immediately, and more importantly, that might be a match that people sat there and thought, this is what I'm here to see.
With hindsight, it's funny. I would have led off with something like Bray versus Roman. I would.
Yes.
With hindsight.
Yes.
With hindsight,
right.
I admit that. Without hindsight,
yes.
I probably would have went for the tag team match. Thought it was a
yes.
great bet.
Yeah. I mean, even with it, because again, I don't know, in looking at primetime players, right, I love them, but I don't, tag team champions, right? So, even then, it's weird, but actually, but with hindsight.
The actual pay-per-view, man.
Right, but still,
I know it's because of Titus, but go on.
But with hindsight, right, knowing how good the match was, actually, even though, it's a blah, 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 especially comparing the two matches before it.
Yeah.
I would have rather had that tag match start off the pay-per-view.
Yeah,
because it's like, wow.
I wouldn't disagree with you at all.
Yeah, because it's, wow, that's so cool. Have Randy Orton, Sheamus. Oh, so it's the slower match. And look, it starts off slow, but then it builds up, and you go, oh, wow, that was cool. Versus, okay, so we had, it's as if they wanted to get the bad out of the way first. And again, not the wrestlers, but with the way they book their stories, it's just, let's just get the ones that we kind of half cared about, or if that real stuff happened. I mean, to be honest, yeah, Randy Orton is engaged to his girlfriend, and that's why he wanted to take two weeks off, and I understand that. But you can definitely tell that when it came back, it was like, yeah, now we have to do this, right? It was like, you could have, if you knew it was happening, even if you didn't know it was happening, you could have worked on some stuff on the fly, not just, it's not happening, and it's happening. I mean, what? Wow, that's happening. Going to be on the pay-per-view. You guys might really enjoy it. Yeah, I'd rather it be for the Money in the Bank already. Right? I know it would have been bad because Randy won, but still, I'd rather it have been for the Money in the Bank to give it some kind of shake-up or some kind of, stipulation where it's just, oh man, something crazy. It's just, no, normal match between the two of them. Randy Orton wins, and everyone's like, so are we expecting a Sheamus cash-in later?
Right. But then again, at
boy,
the same time,
get one.
Money in the Bank winners are always booked like shit during their run. Go figure again? But...
Which is cool, by the way, like to do that if you're going to give them something big. But it's just, it's a weird situation.
Don't do the Damien Sandow thing again, please.
Yeah. It's just one of those situations where, it's like, oh, hey, look, it's happening, and then nothing happened from it. Because we didn't have a cash-in tonight, because Sheamus would have been very confused, and he might have cashed in on The Undertaker.
Right, and that would have been, that would have been funny to me. Like, Sheamus comes to cash in. No, hear me out, right? So we've got Sheamus cashing in, but The Undertaker's there. So he freaking just attacks The Undertaker. And then The Undertaker doesn't return as a heel. He comes back as a face. He fights Sheamus at SummerSlam, beats him. That's a high-profile match, not in the main event. And it leads up to another Undertaker-Lesnar fight at, like, the Rumble or something.
What would have made this okay if Sheamus is running in, the lights go out, they come back on, Undertaker's in the ring, Sheamus is like, nope, not today.
You know what I would have liked? No, that exactly, but Sheamus on the floor.
Oh, God.
And then the next night, he's just like, what the fuck? Why? And then, boom, angle. And we're done.
I think what would have been great is having a Seth Rollins getting hit with the F5 as Sheamus is being chokeslammed by Undertaker, as in, we're going to take these two out because I'm gunning for you.
And then they have the greatest brawl of the century, part 1. Then they have another one later on Raw. And then at SummerSlam...
Oh, you were confusing me for a second because it was like, you were like, they have the greatest, and I was like, where's he going? Because because I watched Tough Enough, and there was a bromance thing going on recently, so I was so confused as to where you were going with this. We were like, they have the greatest romance of the century. And I was like, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that.
Tough Enough. That's actually one of the redeeming qualities, I have to say, of the television so far. But
right. But still, yeah. Paige has said, by the way...
Go ahead.
I know this is regarding Tough Enough. Just very quickly. Paige has said before. I forgot to which two guys, but they were close enough. Oh, they were angry and they were doing the whole head-to-head thing, and she was like, "Make out." And then I forgot who looked at her, and she was like, "Come on, the women get it all the time." And I was like, "Wow, actually, yeah, fair enough."
Oh God, that's
I haven't really liked it.
It's like a fourth wall joke.
No, like I haven't liked her character a lot in Tough Enough, but that was one of those redeeming qualities where I was like, actually, yeah.
I feel like they purposely went out of the way to make her immature. But in any case,
yeah, talking about the show. So again, back to Sheamus, Randy Orton. Wasn't a terrible match, right? Nice spots planned, but none of the spots were so great that I think wowed us enough to go, this was an amazing opener.
And we've seen this kind of matchup before, so that's also what hurt it.
Yeah. So that's, I think, all we can really say about it, unless there's anything about the match that really did stick out to you.
No.
But yeah, so moving on, we had the New Day versus the Primetime Players, where, as I said before, I think it really, this match quickened the pace up of the night, and you can tell that the crowd got into it. It took, very, very quickly, right? So the crowd gets into it, and I think that the New Day were also able to get them into it with their promo in the beginning, and I think that also really, really helped.
So, quick question. Do you think that they put Sheamus and Orton first on the card because they had no idea where else to put it?
Probably, because it's
the card, right? They sat there and they're like, we don't know where else to put this shit, because it's not potentially like cool down material, even though it is in terms of actual like what happened.
I think they could have flipped it with. I think they could have seamlessly flipped it with Bray and Roman Reigns, because of the fact that I think they both follow that same formula, where it's just like, hey, at first, we're going to build this baby up, and then when we get it going, we get it going.
Okay. I like
the only difference is that one had a different, one had a clean finish, one didn't. But still, I mean, I don't think people would have, we mentioned before John Cena, Kevin Owens. People might leave after Owens loses, or even wins, to be fair. Even if Owens won, so people could say, well, that's my version of the main event for the night. Have a nice evening.
Right.
But having Roman Reigns and Bray there, I don't think that starts it off with, oh, no. I mean, yes, they may have thought, oh, we don't want to put heel right next to each other, like heel winning. But I still don't think putting, but at the same time, you did have it be heel, face.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, heel, face, it's not, I don't think the kids are going to get all sad and upset. I mean, if they do, it's like, why, it's still going to happen at the end of the night, later on during the night anyway. So it's just, get the kids sad now and then get their spirits up with, primetime players and with everyone else winning. Other faces winning, right? So that's what I think. I think it could have been switched seamlessly, but that's just me. Anyway, so I do think that Titus tends to slow things down, right? But there was so much going on that it is hard to become disinterested in the match itself, right? Because you looked at the way the New Day was bringing it in the match. You have Woods outside taunting outside the ring, and without a lot of crazy flips. I think there was so much going into this, so much going on during the match. And I say crazy flips because, I love a certain style a lot, especially when it comes to the tag team matches, right? But I do feel like there was so much going on that I was invested, even though I knew that the New Day was not going to win. So that's how I feel.
It sucks, I think, because with this match, I kind of knew the Primetime Players were going to win based on this whole Titus push thing. And it just upsets me in the sense that I personally don't think the Primetime Players are very good workers. I don't I'm not into them as much as the live crowds are. I think the live crowds are into them, and I have to respect that. I'm not that much into them. And I'm really into the New Day.
Yeah, well, I'm into Darren Young as a single competitor because I really want to see where it can go.
You really like that, and I don't.
But here's the thing. Maybe it's because I wasn't around for a bit, but I have never seen him in singles work. And to be fair, there are a lot of people that you could tell me, hey, like look at Ryback, right? I love the big guy. But there are, but still, we look at him and we'll say, oh, some people might say, oh, he's limited, oh, he's this, oh, he's this. But the man is able to get over, and the man has the Intercontinental Championship right now. There is no, you look at Darren Young, and I haven't seen his ability to either get over or not as a character, as a face or a heel, on his own. We've only had him in tag team matches, and yes, we could just assume, well, that's just who he is. He'll never be able to work single. That's just who he is. You know who some people said the same thing about? Not trying to compare these two because, again, we don't know yet. Edge, Matt Hardy. But we've been able to see them in matches that weren't tag team matches, and we actually been able to sit here and go, wow, they're actually really, really good. The tag team helped, but that was it.
I'm not glad you qualified it with I'm not trying to compare
I have
them.
To.
Because that's pretty lofty.
No, because I can't sit here and say, come on, Darren Young could be the next Shawn Michaels, because it's like, hold on there, Matt. Right? Hold on there, Matt. But if someone tried to tell you, we're never letting Shawn Michaels compete out of tag team matches, you may have sat there for the rest of your life thinking, yeah, that was a great tag team guy.
I know. But
That's what I'm trying to say.
Fairly certain that Darren Young isn't Shawn Michaels.
God, no. Like, I wanna make that clear. No. But how will we ever know unless we actually get to see certain people? It's not a Darren Young thing. It's a certain people thing, trying to see what they can do.
Like at best,
right?
He's the Christian in Edge and Christian, and Titus is.
And look at Christian.
No, but that's the thing. At best, like if everything falls, and I.
No, all jokes aside, though. All jokes aside, though, if you're going to compare him to Christian, I consider that a big deal. I like Christian.
No, I like him too a lot. That's what I'm saying. Like, he could totally, But it's just a thing where I just want there's a lot that goes into it.
Again, no, because believe me, I'm not saying that either one of the two primetime players is suited for WWE World Heavyweight Championship material. No, that's Big E. Right? That's Big E. But I still feel as if, there's always there's a chance. Like, just give someone a chance, and if they flounder, I mean, hell, we've given Titus a chance before we gave Darren a chance.
I'm not totally
that's what I'm saying.
Getting a chance.
Yeah.
I'm just not too. That's not one of the things I'm going to go crazy fighting for, and I'll just admit to that openly.
Okay, that's fair enough. Because if he flops,
we're going to give Darren Young a chance.
Yeah,
I'm all for it. Because why not give a guy a chance? I'm with you on that much. Totally.
Yeah. And also the fact that, and I say give a chance because you look at Titus, and I just think that, he generally slows things down in a situation like this, and in matches like this. Even as a tag team, he slows things down. And, while I said, there was so much cool things, so much going on, during the end, you knew that it was going to be them winning, and I don't know how the crowd reacted, but I kind of was deflated because, not because I love the New Day so much, but I look at Big E as a competitor, and it's one of those weird power level scale things where you've seen what Big E has been able to do against, Cesaro and Tyson Kidd, just the entire New Day, right? And then you see him against Titus, and it's just, oh man, apparently Titus is so much faster than Big E right now that it makes Big E look so slow, as if it's an anime character thing. Wow, right? Frieza's so fast that it makes everyone else look so slow. Whoa, Goku can use instant transmission now. It's like, well, it's not really like that. In fact, Titus is slow, therefore Big E has to be slow. And apparently Titus is also stronger than Big E, who is literally a giant muscle. I love him, but Big E is literally one huge muscle.
Is that an insult or?
No, no, what I mean is the idea of you're talking about how strong someone is versus, like, because if you want to tell me, now Titus is even faster than Big E and apparently stronger, and it's just, But look at Big E. Like, the man is strong in. It's like saying, oh man, Titus O'Neil beats Mark Henry, because I believe both of them have actually been able to, like, they've been in like deadlifting competitions or something like that, haven't they?
Yeah, they were both, I think, in college or something of the nature like that.
It's just one of those situations where, I don't want to sit there and say, oh man, the primetime players are terrible. There was a point when they deserved to be tag team champions, and I remember we were clamoring for that at one point or another. But now with all the talent that has come up, or who has been, the talent that has been combined, as in the New Day wasn't a thing back when we were saying, hey, like a year.
If I was clamoring for a face team right now, it'd have to be the Lucha Dragons based on personal preference.
Yes. Thank you, that too.
Team, it'd have to be the New Day. Lucha Dragons are a big thing for me. I'm very upset that they're not getting their thing going.
Exactly. Why bring people up from NXT if it's just going to be, right? They probably would have done better, done well in NXT. Just leave them down there for a little bit longer. If you're just going to bring them up, have them be in this chamber thing, and then think, they can just walk around, do stuff. I mean, how, I don't know. The thing is also about Darren Young that I brought up before. I wanted to mention one other point. We had Slater Gator, and I know some stuff has happened with Slater, and, but we had Slater Gator, right? And then it's just, no, primetime players again. It was just, I really thought this could have been the time to have Darren Young try to shine. And I really have to emphasize try. Because for all we know, fall flat on his face, better in a tag team, like Titus O'Neil. Because remember, they gave Titus that push. And then what happened? Slater Gator.
Bingo.
It's that simple.
So Titus
but anyway, he did. Darren did not. That's the thing. I feel like it's like you gave one a chance, not the other one. Like, that's the thing, where it's just, I mean, to be fair, I think, at least, did they ever give Marty Jannetty a chance? I feel like they did, and then he's the one.
It didn't work out. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. So, one can flop, the other one can do well.
Marty Jannetty and the Rockers. Like, it just didn't fizzled out.
Yeah. But anyway, so moving on from this match, we have ourselves a quick little Divas segment, which I did enjoy, right? Because, hey, a woman's segment on a pay-per-view. Whoa! And a segment that isn't sexist or misogynistic in any way. Woo! Right? Only critique, as we've mentioned before, I don't think Paige works as a babyface, or at least this kind of babyface.
Nope.
That's how I feel. Yeah, I think she can be a babyface. I just think that a rallying the troops babyface does not work for her. Maybe that's just what it is to me. Where, I can see her as a babyface in peril.
Thinking of her behavior the last few months is very confusing. That being said, we've got quite a cast around, so we'll see what happens.
Of course. I mean, we're not even into the match yet. We're only up to Reigns versus Bray, which I really thought that Bray brought some nice background to the match during an interview that they aired during the pre-show. And I do think that this match again was a bit like Randy Orton and Sheamus, though because of where it was based on the card, it felt like a cool down match at first. Until they really, rev things up.
I gotta be honest, I really enjoyed this match. I thought it had no business being as good as it was.
Yes.
And I didn't expect it to be this fun, so I was very pleased when it was fun. I'm just being straightforward. I love Bray, and I love Roman. I've really grown to love Roman, and of course I love Bray, So it's a thing where I didn't know what's going to happen here. I thought maybe this was going to be a tough match, and then it wasn't. It was fun to watch. Picked up better than I thought it would. They have a lot better chemistry than I thought. And you mentioned something to me off air when we were talking about that.
I mentioned there's a chance that because they were in NXT at the same time, around the same time, they were, they become, friends, or they know each other better, and they're able to kind of work together in a way where, it isn't like, and I don't know why I'm bringing this back to Tough Enough, but I think this is relevant. If you're going to tell me that certain judges do have a problem with some of the contestants, if they do win or don't win Tough Enough, they will be on the roster. There's a chance they could be on the roster, and some of these judges that sat there and thought, man, I didn't like you, and I told it to you to your face, will now be seeing these people. And it is a gap. between years, even if they are older or younger, it doesn't matter. There is a gap between years, compared to when you came into this company, right, and when you were in NXT and when you were on the main roster. So the idea is, hell, some of the people that were on Tough Enough together, right, if only 2 of them make it to NXT, right, even if only 2 out of the 13 contestants. The idea is that because they're in that same quote-unquote class together, there's a chance that they have a camaraderie. Right, that's kind of what I mean. So the idea that Roman Reigns and Bray, while they aren't travel buddies, actually, interestingly enough, travel buddies, as far as I know, our fact checker Maddie mentioned this to me. Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, Dean Ambrose, Renee Young, who is dating Dean Ambrose, and Bo Dallas travel together.
And
I don't know
Bo
if you knew
Dallas,
this.
I did not, and that's why I laughed. But I'm like, one of these things is not like the other.
One of these things just doesn't belong.
Asshole, you ditched me for the Shield? Like, I thought we were brothers. Like, what happened?
I feel like that's needed, though, when you're family, and family, and you're on the road. It's just, I'm not going to travel with you. I'm not.
No, I grew up with Bray farting in my mouth in the morning. I think I'm good to not travel with him.
Ambrose is just like, well, I'm happy to hear that. Okay, I think I should leave the car. Click. I guess I'm staying in the car.
You can never leave. Why are you cutting promos like Bray? Everyone just cuts Bray promos the entire first ride with Bo Dallas.
Just Roman, the Dean's just like, and Roman ate Chipotle.
And then, meanwhile, in the other car, wherever Bray is riding, he's just cutting Bo Dallas promos because he misses his brother. It's like, hey, it's so great to see you guys. It's going to be an easy car ride if we believe. Let's not crash out there tonight because I know you're not the greatest driver. But if you believe, you can get through this tonight.
I feel like whatever car Bray Wyatt is in, it's just infinitely darker than other cars. It doesn't matter what time you're driving, nor how many lights you put on in the car. It's just a dark mass of energy just in the car.
I literally just pictured a dark spot on a bright road. Like a moving black hole.
Basically.
Everything's fine. And someone's like, that ain't right. That ain't natural.
That ain't right. But I'm not questioning it. UFO, et cetera. So the match was good. This was a, strange crowd, I think, because they felt smarky, and it seems like their smark kind of, of course it extended to Bray, because Bray, you can understand why people who are in the smart community would be like, yay, Bray Wyatt. But it's weird how, it interests me, I think, how they did enjoy R-Truth, or at the very least his What's Up chant, but they were not into Barrett. It's as if, because, the way they looked at it, they were just like, all right, we don't care about this match as a whole. We like R-Truth with that taunt, with that chant, but we don't really care about this match as a whole. But, of course, the idea that it's like, oh, well, Bray Wyatt, of course. Bray deserves it. So it was interesting to me, where it wasn't even as if, they are smart in the sense that it's like, woohoo, Barrett. Like, maybe they have also become disinterested because Barrett hasn't had the bad news thing in a while. He's just kind of this king that doesn't really talk a lot. And when he does, He's just kind of, he's annoying enough as this king to not even have the smart community in his corner.
It's like your character, the freaking minor inconvenience guy.
Oh, God, let's not even talk about that right now.
That's who Barrett is right now. Tell me I'm wrong.
But I like that guy. I think he's funny.
You like Barrett,
I think
too.
he has potential.
You like Barrett, too. You think he has potential, too.
I was happy that Bray Wyatt and Roman Reigns put on an interesting match, even at points where I could have become disinterested.
I win this round.
A minor inconvenience.
For you, Mr. Marrero.
But seriously though,
no idea how happy I am right now.
Yeah. Having Reigns lose was interesting because I think
the way
it's a great way
to made perfect sense.
Mm-hmm. And it's a great way to bring other people into the feud instead of just Bray and Roman Part 2. It's kind of like, hey, Supernatural Tag Team versus Broken Shield. If they bring in Ambrose, right? It's like Broken Shield.
Right, because Ambrose, it makes sense logically, and I love that, though.
It's rumored that he would be the one it would either him, right, or Sting returning, which, by the way...
I think that's funny, though, dude. Imagine, like, Bray Wyatt and Luke Harper. Makes perfect sense, right? Versus Roman Reigns and Sting. Like, how the fuck?
Like, okay, it makes sense because justice, right?
I know, but it's really funny to me, man.
No, but the thing is, like, justice, supernatural tendencies, and Sting has helped fight against large teams of evildoers before, right? It's just that it feels like if Sting came into this, it would be a TNA mismanagement kind of move.
I just think it's hilarious. Because I sit there and I'm like, how are you working this out? It's like Jeff Hardy and Matt Hardy versus Bubba Ray and The Rock. What? How is that? Because The Rock also appreciates tables. And he wants to
by the way,
for insulting Bubba Ray.
By the way, I have a question. Did the way you pronounced Hardy, it sounded like as if we were TNA and we can't say Hardy for legal reasons? Matt and Jeff Hardy. Okay, Matt and Jeff Hardy. It's just like, Hardy is our real name, right? WWE bought your name.
Tonight, anything I've been trying to pronounce tonight, I'm really
okay. No, you've been sounding great until Hardy, and I'm sitting there and I'm just like, Matt and Jeff, right? Matt's just like, but we own our names.
I heard
we both
too. Heard.
Right.
I heard myself say Hardy, and I'm like, damn it, don't stop now. It's the Bubba and The Rock joke.
No. But Matt Hardy is looking at at us like no, we own our name. It's Matt and Jeff Hardy, and Jeff's like, actually, so there was a time in my life. No, listen, there was a time in my life. Matt's like, yes, I know. I may have signed our name off to WWE.
So what are our actual names? Hardy. It's the same thing, just with a U. Why
I was thinking with an E.
Guys know about it, and
I was thinking with an E. No, it's just the idea that Matt and Jeff Hardy, like Jeff signed his name away to WWE, so anytime they go to indie events or anything, it's like, does it say Matt and Jeff Hardy? Is that a typo? It's like, actually, they can't really use. It would be like if
indie event, which makes it even funnier.
It would be like if John Cena, right? John Cena leaves the company, cannot use his name. Everyone's like, wait, why is Cena spelled with an S?
I think it's funny if guys and gals who couldn't use their name leaving the company just use the exact same things but with silent lettering. What you're saying is like party, right? But it's like wheat thins. And like you got a W in there and it's just like wheat Thins, the commercial for Family Guy.
I was just going to say, like, Justin Gabriel. Hey, you can't use that. Wait, is that a Q in Gabriel? It's a silent Q.
Justin Gabriel with the Q at the end.
In the middle.
Makes...
In the middle. Like, Justin Gabriel. And it's just like, no, the Q's silent. So Justin Gabriel. Damn it.
I would die. If anything, no, not even just Q's. Apostrophes too. Because why not?
It feels like it's the Alberto El Patron thing again. Where it's just like, it's like Alberto El Patron. Wait. Really?
Just for fun, it's Del Patron. Del Patron.
Yeah.
And they slowly change
anyway.
over time. So what's your first name? Alberto. Your middle name? Del. Where are we going with this? Last name? Patron. What? Where did that...
But anyway, but seriously, So talking about, I really feel like bringing Sting back would be mismanagement, like on TNA level, where it's just
funny in my head right now, man. Like the.
But you don't see the TNA where it's just like, we saved you from this in TNA.
I just want to see, like, if they went through with this, how would they even, like, okay, even if you're right in the sense of, like, when you were saying, like, oh, maybe it's a justice thing, right? Like, all jokes aside, how does that come across in the story? And then, like, okay, Sting is not an appear every week guy either. So it's a thing where, like, how does that come across? Where, like, does he cut one promo and then Roman cuts the rest the entire week?
Well,
Like,
I
don't
would
know.
say he would probably appear more, or they would probably do like cryptic stuff. I think they would include him more because it's up to SummerSlam, and it would be a thing where it's like, you know what, like because it's a big event. I know you might say, well, they didn't do it with Triple H, and there was I don't know. I feel like they would do it for SummerSlam. They would introduce him somehow, or they would introduce it closer to SummerSlam, so it would make more. It would be able to have him there. They would have him there more often because it's closer to, so less weeks. So in other words, instead of like 4 weeks, it'd be 3 weeks or 2 weeks. But anyway, so the idea is, though, in my head, it feels so weird because it's like, it's like we've saved you from the way TNA does its stuff to just bring you in, right? Like, how great would it be? How do we introduce Sting into the universe? Well, to reintroduce him. All right, so the lights go out. We just did that. Crap. The lights turn on. They do that every night. Crap.
I love that somehow you think there's a guy suggesting, well, what we do is we turn on the lights. And someone, that's genius, Vince. And someone else, do we tell him that his new clothes are invisible too? It's like that old story. Oh my God, I can't. Are you being quiet because you don't get the reference, or are you being quiet because?
Yeah, I don't get the reference.
Oh, the Emperor's new clothes were like, okay, so the Emperor, basically, like he got tricked into. This smart tailor, this Emperor was like headstrong and like really cocky and narcissistic and all this. And so he got tricked. He thought he was like the smartest man in the land and all this crap. By this tailor who basically was like, oh, these clothes, only the smartest man in the land can see them, but they're the most beautiful. It's no clothes. They're invisible, right? So he's wearing nothing. But because he refuses to not say that he's, like, not the smartest guy in the land, he's pretending to, like, show off his clothes. And he's under the impression that everyone can see them. So he's just, like, he's under the impression that it was made for him, he can wear them because he's the smartest guy, but everyone else can see them. So he's just strutting out into town completely freaking naked. And everyone, because they're scared of the Emperor, is like, yes, you look beautiful, sir. The new clothes are amazing, right? And then there's this one little kid that's like, Mommy, why is the Emperor naked? It's actually a really wonderful story. I
oh my God!
It, but like, it's a really wonderful story. That's the concept of it.
Yeah. All right. So
like somebody's there, like Vince is like, we turn the lights on, and it's like that. Yes, Vince. Yes, that's what we'll do.
So
we'll have
all right.
The lights on.
Another wonderful story, at least at this point in time, the Divas Revolution.
Yeah, man.
I'm loving it.
How could you not be?
Yeah. I mean, we have,
like,
it was...
Note, it sounded like I was kidding, but no, really, how could you not? It's...
Yeah. No, I mean,
working pretty well. I'm happy.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, you look at... the weird thing, I think, is that I don't remember hearing that this match was going to happen, so it might be on me, and I know we don't have a fact checker tonight, but I'm pretty sure it was just, hey, look, like, it's not that it's an afterthought. It's just, they introduced it so close to Battleground that it's like, wait, so are we having a triple threat? Like, what are we doing? And then it's just, hey, look, triple threat. And then it's nice that they said, oh, we're not going to have a Divas, a title match just yet because it makes sense. You just announced this, so no title match yet. You also have Nikki playing that heel, letting Brie, asking Brie, hey, you go do it. And I do think it was a good match. I don't think that Charlotte was able to show off some of her better moves, but Sasha looked amazing. And Brie, of course, looks better in losing because I really wouldn't have liked her beating Charlotte or Sasha. And I think the two of them not pitting each other is WWE keeping that in their back pocket. And also understanding that both are in NXT, so you don't want to spoil any matches there either.
Yeah, it's a really tricky situation where you need to, like, work with NXT with with Sasha Banks being up there as well. And
I laughed in my head.
An impromptu match because, all right, sorry. I assume it was definitely an impromptu match because if you and I both go into an event thinking, I don't think I heard of this match, it was an impromptu match.
Yeah. I only laughed because in my head for that brief silent second, I just heard, Foxy, Sasha Banks, Alicia Fox. Excuse me, what about... Yes, of course, Alicia. What about my last name? What do you mean, you're Alicia now?
I'm like, I can't mess this up because I was thinking Sasha Banks, and then apparently Alicia Fox came out, and I'm like, why? Because I was trying to go through the members of the people in my head of the team.
Right. Yeah.
I was like, I got Alicia Fox, and then I said Alicia Fox. But more importantly,
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
the
So,
match was impromptu and it was a lot of fun, and I really like this kind of showcase.
most definitely. I really, really enjoyed it. And, I think, I can't wait for a future match. Can't wait to see where this goes. And, I'm really happy about it.
Yeah, no, it's like one of those, I think as JR, he's talking about, like, the combustible elements are in place.
Yes.
Like, it's all there. Now it's a matter of crafting a story, and you have all the people. So if you don't craft a story now, it really shows how much they don't care.
Yes,
because
and what I really...
have the best talent since Trish Lita time.
Oh, yeah. And all that they would need to do, I would say, is because they have, a lot of the women on the roster involved in this, to the point where everyone else is either down in NXT doing stuff or they're leaving the company. I mean, you look at, Layla left because she realized, hey, it's my time, and creative really had nothing for her. So so the way I feel is, if you have all the women involved in this match, you're going to have, in this storyline, you're going to have to spread them out into different matches. So I really hope that they start to do that, because if it's just one women's match a night, even with this storyline, with 9 women, it's going to hurt. I understand, you might have to curve some things around, certain things or whatever, but the idea is that, this is the first pay-per-view to have them on, right? In this way, some of these women who are just even new to the main roster on this pay-per-view. So when it comes to the Raw or SmackDown shows, we're going to have a situation where you don't just say, oh yeah, and then 3-on-3 or 2-on-2, and then the rest are just on the sidelines. Because even if the match is longer than 5 minutes, it still really is, it still hasn't really helped much. It's helped compared to before, but it just becomes a part of the status quo, a part of what everything else is doing.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's
how I feel about it.
With that many capable people right now, it is. I'll admit to that much. But I have to have faith.
And again, it was a good match. I mean, we can't say it wasn't a good match. I just really think that Charlotte should have. Charlotte, I think, should have been able to showcase herself more. Maybe it's just my bias. I've only seen her in a high-profile match against Natalya, and I really, really enjoyed it. So maybe that's on me. Maybe she's just changed, over these last few months. Maybe her, I don't know. But from what I've seen, I think she can do a lot better, and I think she wasn't able to showcase herself as much as Sasha Banks did, and even Brie to a certain degree. I mean, did you feel the same?
No, I was sitting there thinking about it because you mentioned Brie, and I stopped because I'm like, But in general, look, the match was fun. I'm really glad. I'm glad that they impromptu matched a women's match.
To be fair,
Like, that's just to be quite honest. The idea that they sat there and they're like, we're going to put this on a card. Good. Take advantage of the fact that people are hot on this right now. They want to see this happen. Be smart, and they did.
True.
So kudos to that, because we could have had this card without any women's matches right after you went ahead with this quote-unquote Divas Revolution, and that would just make it look stupid. So I'm just really proud
I
of
agree.
that. I'm going to give them credit for that.
All right, that's true. And, I don't blame anyone for it. I'm just saying that I really think that, I hope in the future Charlotte is able to show off her skills. But anyway, moving on to Cena versus Owens. The match was amazing. The outcome was not. I said before, I assume it's a test for Owens. I assume it's a test. But you really took the air out of this character when you do something like this. At least Rusev, as much as we talk about Rusev, he had a winning streak. As much as we shit on that streak because it's against the same people over and over and over again, Rusev's streak, at least Rusev had a winning streak that, showed that he could have looked strong after Cena. They decided to throw him into the storyline that he's in now, and we complain about that, right? But still, at least he had that winning streak. But they give Owens a win over Cena, which is huge, and it will be going down in the history books as Owens, beat Cena. But that doesn't mean much if he isn't booked well afterwards.
Which is humongous and depressing. Because now he's coming off 2 back-to-back losses. Yeah.
And, and I just feel like, look, it's interesting because Cena actually does have an Undertaker mystique to him, in a sense that you beat him once and it's like, whoa, you beat John Cena. But Owens isn't Brock Lesnar. See, there's a lot you can do to Brock Lesnar, stuff that I don't like. Like the whole beatdown thing, right? But look at how easy it was to make him bounce back.
Yeah, look, this really hurt me because I don't want to go on this right now. We've used up a lot of time already. It's 12 o'clock on our time here, and we started at basically 10:30 our time. It's a thing where John Cena at some point has to be held responsible for his decisions as a man, not as a character, not all this stuff, but as a man. And I feel that he's gotten to the point where he can say no to certain things that are just bad booking decisions. And yes, Kevin Owens is one of my favorites. Yes, I am totally biased in that direction. But I am also biased in the idea of creating new stars. And you started this so well, and I didn't even say Owens needs to beat him twice. I mean, you booked him in a situation where he needed to beat Cena twice. But now it's like he's lost twice because of what you booked him into. And it really upsets me because all three of the matches were really, really good. Like, really, really good. And it just hurts me physically because there's no reason Owens should have lost this match. There isn't.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Before I talk to you about this specifically, I want to mention, Satish and I were talking pre-show at around 10:30. I want everyone to understand that because some people are going to sit there a little confused and think that you're using John Cena math in the middle of the show in 90 minutes or less, or some Steiner math. So yeah, you and I have been talking since 10:30. The show started a bit after that.
Right, because
it hasn't been.
It hasn't been an hour and a half in terms of actual show time. So if you're looking at the clock right as I said that, sorry.
No, but I understand.
I know you wanted to get to that before. I was like, let me stop because I know I heard you nervous, and I'm like, I think you want to explain that. But
Cena versus Owens
hurts, right? Like, does it hurt you a little bit? To be honest, like.
Of course it does, because of the fact, and it doesn't hurt me because I'm an Owens fan. It hurts me because I'm a fan of the new generation. And you can hear me as far back as, 6 months ago, 8 months ago, saying, hey, maybe there's a chance that, John Cena will be, toning it down a little in terms of his John Cena, winning streak, and then you can give it to some of the younger stars, and blah, 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 blah. As I just said, John Cena does have that Undertaker mystique. The issue is that, yes, you don't want everyone to beat John Cena because, again, that would mean that people wouldn't look credible, right? But it's the idea that...
Neither of us want that, by the way. Neither of us want John to lose every match. That's clear.
No. But the idea is that if John, God forbid, and some people who might be atheists, just a general force forbid, right? Whatever force, not the force from Star Wars, whatever force you may or may not believe in, forbid, that John Cena gets an injury that means that he cannot perform ever again in that ring. I'm not going to say your company's going down under because they have everyone else there. But the idea is that, oh no, things aren't working, things aren't going well. We need to focus on Cena and all of his merchandise. The man, I don't want him to pass away. But, life is a very, very, very strange thing, and I truly mean that. And life is crazy, and it's different, and you don't know what's going to happen from day in and day out, and you don't know. Unless someone's going to come out and, and say, no, John Cena's immortal. And I'm not kidding. I'm being straight up. I'm being honest. Like, unless you're going to tell me, no, the man will never die. He'll age, but he'll never die. It's like, oh, okay. Stay around for he's going to be around for a while. But for all we know, with all the wear and tear on your body in this business, tomorrow could be his last day, not in this company, just wrestling. And what do you do then? What do you do when you don't have anyone else? Yes, you have people on your roster, but where do you go when those merch sales are gone? Because, look, we heard that there were rumors that, they were pushing away from Owens. People were pushing away from Owens because John Cena's merchandise were going down. Like, it was like, oh, no, his merch, there's a chance that, his merch is going down. Oh, no. It's like, okay. But, what about Owens' merch? Is it going up? Like, we never heard the other side of it. Because if John's merch was going down and nobody else's merch was moving, I kind of understand. Like, it hurts the company, the company line. But if one's going down and one's going up, you mentioned this to me, not on the show, just in general. Oh, yeah, I said, oh, Cena's is going down. You said, and then during that time, Punk's was going up. Right?
Yeah,
so it's usually,
I was curious about that. Because they tried to use that justification. But Punk's was going up. which meant, and then what they did was, and this has been disputed a lot, but
from what we've heard,
they started shorting the supply at live shows of Punk stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And they put more Cena stuff out there.
Took a drink. Yeah, so for every, let's say, like one Punk shirt, it was like 3 Cena shirts.
Yeah, and this isn't a hard and fast rule, and this wasn't at every event. But we heard numerous occasions of this happening.
And some could say, well, John Cena was just wanted more. And it's like, yes, but to be fair, you know, if you want a Punk shirt, like, okay, if your kid sits there and thinks, man, you know, Punk is cool, but I also like John Cena, right? And Punk, there's no more Punk shirts because all the adults or any, like, teenager or even some of the kids, you know, you got some for the kids. There's none left. All right, I'll go for the John Cena instead. And then on the books, it's, well, John Cena's merch is selling a lot better than CM Punk's merch. We did it.
And it's not just the CM Punk scenario, because we've heard this from Randy Orton, and Randy Orton has retweeted fans and talked about the idea that his merchandise has been misrepresented out there. So it's not just like one situation. Daniel Bryan has not said anything himself, but there has been talk about that Daniel Bryan's merchandise was treated the same way.
Right. So, and again, some could say,
wonder.
Right, yeah. Some could just say, you know, demand, right? Clearly more people want Cena shirts than other shirts. Okay, right? So then let's not talk about that. Just the idea that, you know, oh no, John's merch is is going a little bit lower than usual. We heard rumors that because of that, Owens lost. Now, I don't know if that's the case. I think it might just, again, be that test of like, you know what, let's not give him the world already. Let's see where he goes from here. Let's see if he's able to work, quote-unquote, on the fly and get over without this John Cena win or this U.S. title. And again, that makes sense, but it doesn't make sense when you have to sacrifice entertainment and you have to, you know, kind of do a thing where you also might sacrifice the future push because of how you derailed him. Like, I would have rather Kevin Owens lost in his first match and either got a match later or said, you know what, I'm coming back for you, John, and then go back to NXT for the Balor stuff and then come back up later and see where it goes from there. Because I think it's also a little weird that even though it was, you know, the free month of the network, Owens loses on what can be considered a B pay-per-view. There's not going to, I don't know if they're going to continue this to SummerSlam, but they've had their 3 already. It does not look like they're continuing this into SummerSlam.
And it also hurts the Johns doing 2 in a row. Like, I'm a firm believer that if you're going to do the 3-match thing, you do 1-1-1. Don't do 1-2.
Right.
Like,
right.
Yeah, like, it really hurts, I think, for Owens to win 1 and then lose 2 back-to-back. Because it's one thing if Cena wins, Owen wins. Yeah, like the idea of... Like, if you're going to do the best of 3 and Cena's going to win, then don't do the one, you know, or at least make, like, the last one a Smob's finish or something, or, like, the middle one or something. But just the idea, like, it's just too much for me because having him lose twice in a row is really hard to watch. And that's what upset me, too. The first time I was upset and I let it slide. Like, I didn't let it slide, but I kept, you know, I let it go on. Now it really hurt. Because it's hard. I think it's hard because, again, I thought we were promised, I mean, we weren't promised anything because no one came out and said anything to us, but I thought we were assured that the reason why John is winning all the time is not only to make everyone else look good, which I do think that a lot of his matches, Zack Ryder versus John Cena made Zack Ryder look good, right? I'm not going to lie about that.
So the matches made the people look good who were facing him in losing. The issue comes that, you know, we assume that, like Undertaker, that streak was made to be broken by an upcoming NXT star. That could have been Sami Zayn, but of course Zayn got injured.
And so they made the most sense because he was a heel anyway.
Yeah, so you would want him to get beaten down by the heel, and then, you know, John Cena to come up. Because to be fair, giving Owens a 1-month reign, I know that sounds even worse, but giving Owens a 1-month reign or a 2-month reign and then having John come back to beat him for it is still, like, I don't think adding another U.S. title, you know, to John's, resume, I don't think that really changes anything. World heavyweight, different story, and we all know why, right? WWE World Heavyweight, different story. But when it comes to the titles that are like, the Intercontinental, U.S., tag team is a different story now in that division. But the singles titles does not change, it at all. I would argue. Like, I don't think we're sitting there going, oh my God, he's a champion again. Look, if you want to do that whole, I know they did it with the World Heavyweight or the WWE. It was the WWE a while ago with Randy Orton and John Cena. That was a problem in hindsight. Hot potato, hot potato, hot potato, you get the title, right? Mm-hmm. That was the problem at the time. But with but John isn't he isn't like a 10-time U.S. champion, So if you were to do a little bit of that, very little, I understand it because, hell, it is later on in John's career anyway. The problem with, it happening in like 2009 is that it still was kind of early in John's career, to be fair. To kind of have you get the title, Randy. No, you can take it, John. Oh, we'll both take it together. No, I'm just kidding. One of us can have it. One of us needs to get it.
We'll both take it together. I'm like, what bullshit ladder match happened in 2009?
I don't remember that at all, actually. I guess I'm happy that I made something funny that I didn't even know about.
I don't remember what. I'm just sitting here thinking, like, did a bullshit ladder... Like, I know it wasn't intentional. Like, I know you don't remember it, and I don't remember it. So I'm sitting here like, was there a bullshit ladder match in 2009 that makes this joke even more viable? No,
we can both take it.
Let's take it together. Out of context,
no, I'm just kidding.
Really interesting.
But anyway, so I feel like, look, they want to put Owens, like, okay, I would rather Owens have lost first rather than give a push like this and then take it away, or have this match end in DQ of some kind of, situation, and then have them do something definitive at SummerSlam. I know it's a fourth one, but...
It's a thing, yeah. What hurts this again, too, you blew off the feud like you ended it before SummerSlam. So you've taken him away from, like, the main pay-per-view, Kevin Owens.
Yes.
You had him lose twice in a row. Unless he has something significant to do with SummerSlam,
even if...
handling this pretty shittily.
Yeah. Even if it's just a situation where, some might say, oh, but, they're going to get a good match together. It's like, look, even like Dolph Ziggler versus Daniel Bryan, like, good match potential, but it's not in the main event where we want at least one of those two, right? And not even going for the title. Just, I think I said this to you before the show began. It feels like people aren't really fighting for shots at titles. It feels like people just get caught up in their own feuds, which totally happens sometimes. But I feel like after a while, no one actually cares about ascending to the top, and it's weird. And I say that because, even if you're going to tell me, oh, like Dolph Ziggler actually never wants to be the main, the main champion, WWE World Heavyweight title, the highest champion. He doesn't want it, right? And I know it sounds crazy, but I say that because it's like he doesn't want it because he doesn't like the way, the work behind it. It's a lot of work. And I don't mean like work like, oh, I don't want to work. No, I mean the pain, right, behind the actual, like, what you have to do to be the guy or a woman just on the top, right, of your division. It's hard, not in a way where it's like, oh, it's hard. No, as if, like, it hurts because of the amount of press, the amount of this, how you are now under a lot of scrutiny, more so than you were before. There may be some people in WWE that are just really happy where they are, right? Like, it's true. Like, there might be some. They might go, oh, it would be nice, but they understand, hey, this is what comes with it, so I really am happy where I am right now, right? So it could happen. But the idea is just that as characters, they should all feel as if we're gunning for the main title in our division. And I really does not feel like they are doing that as characters. It's just, hey, man, you shoved me, and I don't like you for doing that. I don't like you either. Yeah, that's how I feel this month.
And it's so confusing because, like, I know that it's hard to do number one contenders matches now because you had, quote-unquote, like, you have these rematches going on. Like, let's say Brock would have won. Then you have a rematch going on there, so number one contender match doesn't matter. But
right.
It's just a thing for me where, like, not even the brand split, but Jesus Christ, like, deunify the titles if you're going to treat them like this.
Yeah, I love the idea of a brand split. I remember when I used to say brand split a lot, and I still feel it in my heart of hearts. Because it's just...
It's hard for us to talk about because, like, they're just going further and further away from it.
Yeah. But anyway, so, Cena Owens, I'd rather Owens lose immediately rather than deflating, and then it's just where do you go from here? And he feels like he's just part of a mid-card that's just kind of wandering around like zombies until they're needed. It is as if the mid-card are not actors as if everyone else is, but that they are extras that are only called on when needed.
And that's the only time they get names and existences and stories, but outside of that, their backstories don't matter.
Exactly. Now, Lesnar fought Rollins in a match that I think, hey, you know what? Even if you are in the main event, you can still not look that good. Now, why do I say that? I'm happy that they finally thought, you know what? Let's not give Rollins anyone backing him up. But the problem is that's when you make him look strong. Not you have about a minute or two of offense, and the rest of the time, I do understand running away as a way to play defense. But he ran away at one point as if it's like, you know what, I'm not even going to be part of the match. And I think you sat there and thought, wow, so this is kind of bad. Because there's a difference between, hey, you know what, like, okay, I understand live to fight another day, right? But I think that's what I said when I said before Owens losing by, a DQ finish, right? I didn't mean Owens running away. I meant, you know what, screw this. I'm going to hurt John. I'm going to get a chair, right? I'm going to do, I want to hurt this man. Because I am losing, not the runaway. The runaway thing that's supposed to happen on the main, the main shows, because hey, you know what? I don't need to fight today. I'm going to fight you when I'm good and ready. I'm going to fight you at 100% at the pay-per-view. But at the pay-per-view, it's just Rollins going, nope, I'm gone. And I understand. Hey, German's hurt. I mean, I don't understand, but I can definitely empathize.
13 of this one?
13. Yeah, I can definitely empathize. Right, I can't sympathize. I don't know how it feels, but I'm sure I can empathize with the idea that being dropped.
He's never been German. I could German him, but once.
Wait, what?
I said I could probably German you once, and then I'd have to take a break. So it'd be one German per week.
And I'm good. And I'm good.
But
and I'm good. That's all.
You could survive that, except for the 11th one that I botched.
Right. I'm good. I can empathize. But the idea is just that, it felt like it was Rollins, running away too much and Lesnar dominating too much.
I mean, they're trying to keep in line with the whole, Lesnar being super monster thing.
Yes.
Which I suppose is why the Undertaker thing is so even worse off.
Yes, because
You created Lesnar as super babyface. Not just the baby face in terms of because you took away the vulnerability you gave him, which was.
I wonder if that's why. I wonder if that's why they knew that they could book Undertaker. So it's not even like people like us saying, maybe that's not who Brock is. No, it's just wait, Undertaker's coming back. Let's give Brock some of that edge so that people don't think that Undertaker's the heel in this. But to be fair, even if you take away that edge, he was still the good guy. So it's wait, so Undertaker's the bad guy? No, he's avenging the fact that he was beaten badly. So then Brock's the bad guy. Well, we're not saying that exactly. What's your story? What are you trying to tell me
right now? Because the way that this happened, makes Undertaker look like a heel.
Yeah, and this is a time, even though I understand wanting to be quiet to sell the moment, this is the time where you need the announce team to actually speak. And to go over it and try to explain to everyone watching.
Give me some clarity for the moment. I know he's going to get his promo the night after on Raw. I know.
Right.
But it's just a frustration for me. Come on. Give me something.
Because all you need is JBL going, how dare Undertaker do this? And Michael goes, hold on a minute, right? Undertaker was beaten down mercilessly by Brock Lesnar. And Brock just taunted him about it.
It's so hard to work the story out in a way, too. It's hold on. Brock beat him in a match fair and square. Well, when you put it that way.
No. I don't mean like that. I mean the idea of Brock Lesnar taunted him and he put him in the hospital.
But I just
right?
think
that's all you need. All you need is one side to say that, and the other side to say, well, you know what? Something, that's the problem, is that didn't happen. And you kind of look at this wait, so which one's the good guy, which one's the bad guy? Because yes, people pop for The Undertaker. But if that's the case, Bray Wyatt's a babyface.
That's a funny comparison.
We can't say that, because apparently if people pop for The Undertaker and people pop for Bray Wyatt, then WrestleMania 31 had the ultimate babyface versus babyface best man wins match between Bray Wyatt and Undertaker.
Yeah, and it's the thing where Undertaker, I mentioned this to you, Undertaker will always get a pop at this point because, and you know what, he's earned it, and I will never take it away. But it's confusing to me because when this happened, I would think I was a bit more hyped about the thought process of like, wow, this could happen and this would be kind of cool. But the more I thought about it, it's like how I eased up, like where I can actually talk about the Cena Owens thing. Mm-hmm. I can talk about this a bit more rationally too. I'm
really happy you can. Because I understood how you felt about Cena Owens. You didn't see the match, but I understood how you felt. But I was really thrown off by how you felt about, because we were talking about just last year, man, part-timers, right? And Brock isn't the part-timer anymore. But now Undertaker is. And you're just like, yeah, man, that's fine. And I'm like,
no, Brock, I obviously have lightened up on, and I made that clear on air, because he's not your traditional part-timer anymore. And I really feel like Brock is an experience, not even making a joke. Like, he's raw, he really can, just the way he is in the ring, presence, all that.
Yes.
Now, with Taker, I do feel he has that stuff too, but it's so hard because what are we doing here? Like, is Taker going to, this match is going to happen then, apparently. So what are we having this match at SummerSlam? We're having this match at SummerSlam. Who goes over here? Lesnar benefits nothing from going over Taker again. And so then that makes what? The Taker's going to win? But that's horrible.
Yeah. Because in fact, I would argue... Oh, sorry, you go.
Yeah, no, that's worse. So
yeah.
It's so, like, timing-wise and everything surrounding it, it's like, conceptually in my head, dude, it's happening. Taker Lesnar 2. All right, I'm in. And then you put it in practice, and it's like, well, what the fuck are they really doing?
Yeah, I feel really weird comparing these two things together, but I have to. It feels like Barrett and R-Truth only because at the end of the day, you sat there and thought, did Barrett really gain anything by winning? That's what I feel like this is going to happen. It is there because even though you could say it was heel talk, right? The idea was that it was a while ago too, but I still think we all have some pretty good memories, right? The idea is, hey, Brock Lesnar beat The Undertaker, means that he's beatable, means that he is not immortal. The man is older, the man looked shaky during said match, and the man was taken to the hospital. This is the reality era. Sorry to say it, this is the reality era. You mentioned it, WWE. We didn't. We didn't coin this one. So I believed in The Undertaker going into the match because even though, reality era, I was still like, no, I'm still a child at heart. And I still am. But it's like, I'm a child at heart, right? But it's like that happens, and it's like, okay, harsh reality time. Undertaker's in his 50s. Brock Lesnar did MMA. Like, Brock Lesnar was in UFC. Okay, here we are, right? Now, comes back, choke slams him, yes, after a match, but to be fair, they didn't give Rollins the chance to put Lesnar through such horrible things to make them think, to make everyone think, oh, well, he was injured. Like, not injured, but I'm saying he went through a match. No, Brock Lesnar was toying with him, barely breaking a sweat at some points, and Undertaker comes in, and it's like, oh, man, Undertaker's so cool. I mean, he is, but it's kind of strange to me how it's just like, and he's back for Lesnar. Don't worry about Wyatt. He's back for Lesnar. It's like, okay, all right. Like, it just felt very, very off. Like, it just felt off to me. And also the fact that we didn't have anyone mention the fact that Rollins left the ring because, of course, he couldn't be there for the epic moment, which I understand in the sense that, look, I know before you and I mentioned the Sheamus Rollins thing, I understand how some would say that's really bad for young talent. But really, the only young one there is Rollins, who's being taken out by Lesnar. Sheamus has been around for a while, so him getting choke-slammed by Undertaker is not bad to me, right? But I understand someone saying, hey, they are younger than them. And I get that. But to not have Rollins be a part of it is still bad because it feels like you're kind of sweeping the title under the rug. Like, don't worry about that title match that was happening. We don't even have a ref in the ring. We don't even have the bell going off. As far as we know, a match is happening. The lights go out. WWE signals that when the lights go out, the match is over. The lights go back on. Lesnar Undertaker, and forget that anything else ever happened. The end.
Kind of a hard storyline to deal with at that point, right?
Yeah.
I just conceptually, I mark out for it in the moment, But the more and more I think about it, the more and more this is probably not going to end well for parties involved.
I mean, and you hear a lot of stories about people who used to love wrestling hearing about this happening, and it's sad to say their first reaction was, isn't that guy in his 50s?
Because we know how long Taker's been around.
Yeah, like you and I and some other wrestling fans will mark out in the moment. Some of us will immediately think about stuff like, wait, this shouldn't be happening because A, B, and C. But we'll still be like, it is a cool concept, right?
Yeah.
But there are some people, and it's funny because it might be like, well, Matt, those aren't real wrestling fans. Those aren't the one. Vince McMahon is always trying to get in people who aren't really wrestling fans. Vince McMahon is always trying to get in the people that will remember wrestling from the olden days and try to get them back in. And to be fair, like I'm not even going to sit here and say that other companies don't do it either. But there are certain ways that certain companies can get away with it. You know, like you look at certain like superheroes and stuff, like comic books, right? They aren't real people playing the characters unless they are movies. And to be honest, in 20 years, we'll get to that. Like in 20 years, we'll see where the Marvel Universe is and see what they want to do with that, right? To be fair, we're not there yet in terms of Marvel Cinematic Universe. We're not there yet. Comic books, a lot easier to do. Live action Japanese superheroes, you bring back the suit, not the actor, usually. And you get another voice actor to do the dub-over thing, right? That's usually what happens, right? Actual people in a combat sport or whatever you want to call it, a combat-themed show, right? It's kind of hard. I mean, I heard some people say, and I don't want to say this, like I'm not trying to like make fun of The Undertaker. The man's a legend. The man does so much, right? But I heard some people say, isn't he collecting Social Security by now? And it sounds terrible, and it sounds really, really bad. But the idea is that people know about Lesnar and his ability to kick ass. And people know that, even if they don't know that Undertaker was beaten by Lesnar, because again, they might not be fans, they might not know. The idea is, how old is that guy? And he looks older than that guy. And that's a problem. That's what I think. That's a problem. And, I don't know, I'm not going to go too into this, but I know that we've heard that the ratings haven't even gone that much higher for Undertaker. We've had low ratings going into Battleground pay-per-view. And not a huge spoiler, but the ratings went up a little bit the week after Battleground, and then weeks after, they've still been a bit low. So Undertaker didn't even move the needle to the point where everyone's sitting there going, man, we're back in those cool 4 millions, 4.5 millions. Nope, still in the high to mid 3 millions. Which is still a steady decrease. Yeah, still a steady decrease. But will John Cena help the needle be moved? Tune in next time to Monday Night Raw to find out. The answer is probably no. But anyway, so again, we're at the end of our show. Anything you want to say before we end the show, Satish?
No, I mean, I didn't know we'd go this long on this, honestly. But,
me neither. But, again, we talked before the show.
There's a lot of stuff to do.
Yes. So a lot to see, where these stories are going, what's going to happen, and, where we'll go from here. So, again, we want to thank you guys for listening to those guys. As always, I'm just going to mention a lot of different shows that we've done. Don't have the time to mention them all now, but we've done a lot of different shows. You can check them out via our website, which is thoseguysontheradio.tumblr.com, our Facebook, which is /thoseguysontheradio, our Twitter, which is @thoseguysradio, and our Instagram, which is /thoseguysontheradio. Also, check us out through YouTube by searching up TGOTR or Those Guys on the Radio. You'll find our podcast that we do here on YouTube, and you can also, see any new updates that we have on there as well. Constantly updating our YouTube. We also have ourselves, we're also on iTunes, so definitely check us out on iTunes by searching up Those Guys Radio or just Those Guys on the Radio, maybe even just Those Guys, and you'll see our picture with all of our archived shows. Also, email us if you want us to, promote yourselves on our show. We can totally work with that. Please, you can email us at thoseguysontheradio@gmail.com, and we can talk to you about different promotional opportunities. We would love to promote you on our show, so definitely email us at thoseguysontheradio@gmail.com. Both Satish and I have done private, exclusive podcasts, 2 so far. One based on WWE SummerSlam 2005 pay-per-view, where Hogan was top billed against Shawn Michaels. and another pay-per-view, WWE Unforgiven 2005, where the top match was John Cena versus Kurt Angle. So, yes, definitely. And they're both available for the low price of $1. You can donate more if you want to, and if you want to support us. So, yeah, they're $1 each. All right. So, anything you want to say before we go, Stitch?
No, I'm good, man.
All right. So, thank you guys for listening to those guys. Say good night, Satish.
Good night, Satisha.